You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another anime review. As the title of the video implies, today we're talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure yet again, and today we'll be talking about Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. As always, this will contain spoilers for the arc itself, as well as all the previous arcs. The previous arcs, this is your one and only warning about spoilers for those, but I will let you know when I start getting to the spoilers for this arc itself. Alright, so Diamond is Unbreakable takes place in 1999, which sets it 11 years after the events of Stardust Crusaders. Jotaro himself is 28 now. He goes to meet his young uncle, Josuke. Apparently, approximately 4 years before the events of Stardust Crusaders, Joseph Joestar had an affair with a young woman. They had a son named Josuke, and that's who Jotaro goes to meet. Josuke is 16 years old and is a first-year high school student, and his personality is kind of similar to Jotaro's in some ways, in that he tries to act cool. He's also crafty, kind of like Joseph a little bit, which I guess makes sense. He's nowhere near as cool as Jotaro, and he's nowhere near as, witty or clever as Joseph. And one of his most defining characteristics is if anyone insults his hair, he has his hair in a pompadour, he gets uncontrollably angry and beats the shit out of them. Now, Josuke has a stand known as Crazy Diamond, which has the ability to fix anything, including injuries on other people. He can't heal himself, but basically the way that Diamond is Unbreakable plays out is it's actually kind of a slice of life series. They do fight different stand users in each episode, but the thing is the series itself is primarily set up as a slice of life, much more lighthearted than the previous arcs. And in a lot of ways, it's actually a real breath of fresh air. The entirety of Diamond is Unbreakable actually takes place in one town, the town of Morio, and the big thing that's in the background looming is there's some threat in the town. Here's where things are going to start to get spoilery. So, throughout Diamond is Unbreakable, they keep hinting that there's some sort of big, imminent threat. And it's also revealed that there's been all these disappearances and stuff. And turns out it's all the work of this mysterious serial killer named Yoshikage Kira. And he becomes the main antagonist of the arc. Obviously, there are many other stand users, and they use this bow and arrow that was actually used by Enyaba to create stand users during Stardust Crusaders. At least it's implied. The bow and arrow was a concept not introduced in Stardust Crusaders, but they say this is probably how they spread around and created all the stand users to work for Dio. So essentially, they're kind of carrying out Dio's legacy and creating new stand users. Kira doesn't care about any of that. Kira just wants to live a peaceful life himself, but he has the uncontrollable habit of just killing women. But other than that, he doesn't want any problems. He just wants to live a normal, peaceful life and not be annoyed. But obviously with the uncontrollable killing urge that he has and the fact that he's killed over 48 women throughout his life, according to what he says in the final couple episodes, you can imagine he's a threat that has to be stopped because he's a threat to the people of Morio because he's been killing them for a long time. But he's always been very careful, and he has a stand called Killer Queen, which he uses to dispose of them completely with an explosion. Killer Queen gains a few other abilities as the series goes on. It gains the ability to basically create like a Groundhog Day scenario where the same day repeats, and the final couple episodes are kind of like that. The other interesting thing is this part also introduced ghosts and potentially aliens. The aliens one is intentionally left unanswered. There's one character that claims to be an alien, and I don't remember his name because it's kind of long, but at the same time, it's also implied that he may be a stand user who's delusional, who's either A, delusional and thinks he's an alien, or B, is playing a very elaborative joke that he's very dedicated to, and never breaks character. I think it's more likely that he's delusional, or that he's an actual alien, but they intentionally never answer it, and I kind of like that because he's kind of a mysterious character in that regard. Joseph does come back again. He's either 80 or 79. Jotaro says he's not sure which. So you get older man Joseph in this. He's nowhere near as prominent as he was in Stardust Crusaders, but he's still there quite a bit. And he ends up adopting this baby that turns invisible. But other than that, obviously this does end up to a big battle with Kira, where Jotaro, Josuke, and their gang of friends and fellow stand users, they gather up, or take on Kira and defeat him, obviously. So, with the way this goes, as far as my analysis goes, I really liked the slice of life aspect of it because it did a lot of world building, and it made all of the characters feel a lot more real. Because here's the thing, I'm not always the biggest fan of slice of life anime, because they always tend to be, high school romance slice of life, which I'm never a big fan of. But with this, it actually helped to give the characters a lot more context and build them up, as well as the town. By the end of this arc, you actually have a fairly good idea of not only what lies within the town of Morio, but where everything is laid out. Like, you have kind of an idea of how the town is laid out. And you also get to see all the urban legends of the town, that all of them get created basically within this series because of stuff with stand users. So it's very unique compared to the first 3 arcs, and I actually think it was done really well. When I originally went into this, I was skeptical, worrying that because of how different it was from the first 3 arcs that it wouldn't be good, but no, I like it just as much as the other arcs. I don't think JoJo has declined at all by watching through the different arcs. I think that each arc has its own distinct feel and tone, and I think this just goes to show that all of them can work in their own ways. Because everything's on a much smaller scale, so everything feels a lot more impactful when it happens. And Kira himself is a very interesting villain. I think he's a great character. I actually genuinely feel some sympathy for him, even though he's out doing these horrible things, because it's like an urge he can't control, but other than that, he just wants to live a normal life. That said, he has no intention of stopping killing. He doesn't think it's wrong or anything, so obviously that's obviously something that's, you know, maybe less sympathetic about him, but overall he's not evil per se, he's just kind of twisted. And he has killed, 48 people, so he is pretty fucked up. He's by far probably the most complex JoJo villain we've seen so far, because Dio was just evil because he's an evil boy. He's just a bad boy, and that's the whole sense of him. The Pillarmen were just trying to conquer the world. I mean, granted, they had honor and stuff like that, but they were trying to be the supreme beings. And then obviously Part 3 just had Dio again, just being more of a bad boy than he was in the first arc. So here, it's nice to see a much more complex and well-developed villain that isn't just evil just to be evil. He's just doing his own thing, which happens to be murder. And I think that the tone and the tone shift in it is actually a really nice change of pace, and I think it was a great arc. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, because I honestly don't know what my favorite is. I'll try to come to that conclusion by the time I get caught up, but overall, I'd say that Diamond is Unbreakable is definitely worth checking out. If you're looking to just jump straight into the action like you did with the first 3 arcs, you're gonna be disappointed, because this isn't that. This is much more focused on world building and character development, but it still has plenty of action in it if you're willing to sit through the other stuff. Anyway, this has been Fugitive Red Eye, and you have a great day.